Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Shall we start, Prabhu?
Please, Prabhu.
Can we have the next slide, Prabhu?
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna. Om Magyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. So today we are reading from the 9th chapter titled The Most Confidential Knowledge. We will be discussing the 19th verse. Is it 19th or 18th, Prabhu? I thought it is 18th.
Prabhu, 19th.
19th. Okay. Tapami aham varsam nihgranami utsrijami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sat asat chaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So welcome devotees for morning Srimad Bhagavatam class of ISKCON Seshadripuram, Sriva Sangam chapter. So today we are discussing the most confidential knowledge. See, the thing is, why most confidential knowledge, right? It is printed in all the languages of the world today by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Now we have this knowledge being available to every living entity, literally every human being that is present on this earth, literally. Then how is it that the most confidential knowledge, right? That question always comes up. Therefore, the idea is, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I think in the 4th chapter, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. That means, tattvataha is a very important word. That means, one needs to understand the appearance and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Tattvataha means in factuality. So that is where the whole confidentiality comes. People know that there was a person, or maybe many people say that's mythology, that that is something that is believed to be there. Some person called Krishna came. And many people may even say, yes, there was a person called Krishna. And many people even say, oh, God came as Krishna. There's in the body of a Krishna. These kind of various philosophies. So people have their own speculative thinking. So in the process, they do not understand the tattva. That means the actual fact of what or who is Krishna and what are his potencies, what are his pastimes, and how does he really appear, or is he actually that person, or is it something else, but it is believed to be that Krishna form or whatever it, this kind of all these speculations are there. And in that sense, people actually are not able to understand that, who is Krishna, and therefore it is not tattvataha, and therefore that most confidential knowledge eludes them. So the point of understanding Krishna as he is the most important thing. And Srila Prabhupada very mercifully is actually helping us to understand. It is very bewildering, right? If Krishna is saying in this thing, if he's saying, I am heat and I withhold and send forth the rain, I am immortality and I am also death personified. Therefore, you get to think, oh, therefore, it is, that's right. Everybody says, right, the Lord is everywhere and everything is Lord and he doesn't have a form and Nirguna, there are so many things they say. Therefore, the Lord is actually not a person. He is some power somewhere. And therefore, the one who we perceive to be Krishna, that is actually something inside him, which is actually God and not this person called Krishna, who, if at all, came on this planet. Or is it's a mythology, someone is just putting a form to that God, and these kind of things are happening. But we get kind of disillusion and we get bewildered by this kind of overall commentary unless we understand it properly through the with the help of the Acharya. And Srila Prabhupada has very beautifully explained everything and reconciled everything. It's not like it doesn't bewilder you anymore, right? It's very simple. He logically explains everything. So in that sense, here when he is saying, I am the heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. When he's saying this, we also saw, you would have seen yesterday in the previous verse also, he's saying, I am the sustainer. What is the meaning of a sustainer? When you say he's a sustainer, only with his energy that we are able to hold this body in place. And we all know, this is a kind of an explanation of the further strength. When you say sustainer, how is it that you are sustaining me? Yes, because the heat of the sun is actually given by me. Or, the sun itself is my own energy. And through that energy, I am actually giving you energy. If you see without the presence of the sun, the world will collapse within a few hours, actually, right? It will become, we cannot sustain in this earth without the existence of the sun, or for that matter, even the moon. It says, only with the power of the moon that the vegetables are all created. Prabhupada has written elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita when talking about the moon. So you can't even have vegetables without the presence of moon. Moon may say, is it giving heat? Nothing. We may think like that. Oh, there are so many stars, but there is one moon which is slightly bigger. But the fact is, without the moon, you can't even grow vegetables on this planet. And that moon is also getting the reflection of the sun is what the modern world scientists say. And therefore, the sun is the most important thing as per this verse. Without the sun, there cannot be any life on earth. So the sustainer in the previous verse is related here when you say, I give heat. And I withhold and send forth the rain. So that is very interesting. Why should he withhold and why should he send forth the rain? Because we take birth, unfortunately, in this planet because we wanted to live independent and enjoy independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we are trying to come to an artificial kind of a state of life. And the Lord, because we are so adamant that, I want to go and enjoy independent of you, is reluctantly giving us this opportunity to come to this place, not come back to, but go to this place, go away from our home. So when that is the situation, there should always be that reminder that this is not my place, So the place is actually the supreme planet, the Goloka Vrindavan, but we are here for a temporary to satisfy our whatever some unfortunate desire that I want to enjoy independent of Krishna. Therefore, we come out here. So when we come out here, then we are no more. In one sense, we want to take control of our own life, which is not really possible, but it's kind of a hallucination. We are given to believe that we are taking control of ourselves, like in that sense. So therefore, okay, he has created the karma and says, okay, I have created a principle within which you will be enjoying yourself, thinking yourself to be the enjoyer. And he's creating this karma chakra where, actions and reactions are taking place. But when some things are not going wrong, he still holds that rein and says, I will remind you of, that you are not fully in control. In that sense, so the Lord, through his representatives, again, just like the sun god is a representative of the Lord, it is his energy which is actually manifesting the sun god. Similarly, the demigods are all his parts and parcels and more empowered personalities. So they are controlling the rain. So Indra Dev is actually responsible for controlling the rain. And Indra Dev actually, through the extension of the Lord, in the form of Indra Dev, he is actually trying to control and withhold the rain. That when you withhold the rain, what happens is we suddenly get a jolt. When I think, I am in charge of everything. I know everything. This is our mood, right? I can manage everything. Everything is under my control. And then suddenly you realize that, you can't even get rain, you can't even grow crops, you can't even sustain, you will, out of thirst we may die. Then we try to think, oh my God, there is something beyond me. What is this? So this is a kind of a reminder. Any dukkha comes, we should always be able to remember that, I am not in control. That, there is something which is much, much higher than me. And I need to surrender to that supreme power. And Prabhupada has very clearly explained to us who's that supreme power, who's, everything. Last verse, we would have seen that, nothing moves without the supreme personality of God's will. And we are all actually caught in that power, but we think we are independent. That is the beauty of this earth, where Krishna, that is also the great creation of the supreme personality of Godhead, where he said, okay, if you want to live independent of me, I will create a world and put you in a hallucination to think that you are the enjoyer. But at the same time, he is very unhappy that, this jiva is my children, my part and parcel. Unfortunately, they are having this desire to enjoy independent of me. So he's sending you here, you and me here, but he is always hankering, oh, why are my children suffering there? I want them to come back. And therefore, he gives us this reminder that, this is not the place to be here. You need to be coming back where everything is so blissful. So you don't have to suffer for lack of water. You don't have to suffer for lack of grains. All of these different things we need to remember. And therefore, he is actually either giving the rain or he's withholding the rain. Both are there. Then I am immortality. So, that we all know. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and has no end. And so is the source of the soul. Like, we sometimes say, okay, I know I am soul, I am not the body, and I am immortal. Therefore, are you independent of that Supreme Personality of Godhead? Because you are immortal, then where is, is it that, you have come from Krishna? No, I am independent. No, there's two things I've heard. The Vedas, they are always existing. The Supreme Lord is always existing, and the Jivas are always existing. In the 4th chapter, also you will see, Krishna will says, you have always existed and you are continuing to exist and you will exist in the future. So that means we have always existed. Therefore, am I independent of Krishna? That thought may come. But he's saying, I am immortality. That means your ability to remain eternally is also coming from that Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, he is the source of our existence even as a soul. So that is the other beauty. So without Krishna, nothing, here or in the spiritual world, nothing can happen. That is the important aspect that we need to discuss. Then what is he saying? I'm also death personified. Death is in relation to the body. Many people disagree. There is nothing called God here. Let us not waste time. It's not. There is nothing that we can prove. So why to waste time like that? Let us enjoy life. Okay, there are people like that. Who think they want to eternally live. Like Hiranyakashipu is a very good example. He said, he wanted immortality. And Brahmadev said, I myself am not immortal from a bodily perspective. Therefore, how come that you can become immortal? You cannot become. Therefore, he was very intelligent, tried to ask the boon in such a way that in his own speculative imagination, he thought if I take these 4 or 5 different boons, that literally translates to immortality. So he thought, okay, I will become immortal that way by cheating Brahmadev, by asking the boon in different ways, which will, in my speculative mind, says that I cannot be killed. So while but what happened? The Lord actually. So, and he said, I am the Lord now. There's nothing that can stop me. There is no death for me. I am the master of this universe. That is the way he was actually projecting himself. But the Lord said, okay, you can think whatever you want, but at some point in time, I will come in the form of death. So he came as Narasimhadev, and actually he killed him. This is what it is truth. And, even for the non-believers, the point is, even for the non-believers, they will have to believe him at that point in time, because that person is facing Lord eye to eye. He's seeing death, right? When the minute you are dying, anyone, who's doesn't believe in God, at that time he will have darshan of the Lord in the form of death. So that is there. So nothing can escape Krishna. Very, very amazing things. Both spirit and matter are in me. That is the other thing. So even again, you would have, I think somewhere we would have seen in the, I think 6th chapter, where he says, no, Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, there. So he is saying there are three different energies of mind. One is this material nature, and the second is the spiritual nature, and then the marginal energy, which is the souls and all that. So everything is emanating from me, both the spiritual and material world. Spiritual world is where we are originally in our true state as a soul, we are remaining there. And there also he is the controller, he is immortality, and therefore we are able to live eternally in the spiritual world. But if we choose to come to this material world because I wanted to believe that I am the enjoyer, so be it, I have created that place. And this place is also mine, and everything that is running this place is also mine. So this is the understanding that Supreme Personality of Godhead actually sits in the Goloka Vrindavan, and through his various energies, just by his wish, his energies act, and then it is actually sustaining everything around us. And he's also the Sugurtam. In the previous verse, he talks about Sugurta. That means he's the most well-wisher of everyone, right? Ultimately, his thought is, how can I help this jiva to be eternally happy? But unfortunately, we want to escape from him. But he's always thinking, considering, how is this jiva, my son and daughter, they are suffering from there. Why can't they come back and live very peacefully under my protection? So that is his merciful thinking. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. We will stop here. If there are any questions or any comments, welcome.